some game design today. What's going on, Steve? It's good to see you, my guy. Let me be visible as well. Cheers. What's going on? My name's Phil Kearney. I create role-playing games, I illustrate them, and I publish them online. And we're doing some game design for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. Let's see. Let me fix my background here so you guys can see what I'm doing. There we go. Okay, great. Yeah, so we're going to be doing Mecha Kaiju design. We've been working for a number of weeks here on the Eberron Spelljammer Kaiju campaign that we're going to be running on my Discord server, which is linked down below. Let me get this out of the way. Right, so we had been designing the asteroid belt system around Eberron. Where is it? There it is. Here's our system. Eberron's in the middle. These are the orbits of the moons. These are asteroid clusters that are in orbit between the moons. We are here, which is right here. This is that square. These are the 6 asteroid communities that our team is going to be overseeing in an XCOM style of moving from location to location, defending each asteroid community from kaiju attack. 5th edition. Right on. And then we had gone through and we had designed each individual community on board using the flat Earth icosahedron method of breaking everything up into triangles that would then form an icosahedron, also known as a 20-sided die for the layman out there. Where was the one? There we go. See, 20-sided die. It's a bunch of triangles. So it makes it easy for us to just break up 20 triangles to start plotting land. So we have one. We got a bunch of different communities, 6 different communities that we had created with the populations, the different bastions and facilities that are located at each that the team can lean into and make use of as resources for themselves as they develop the campaign. And drop that out of the way. So the team is has command of a Dwarven Citadel. This isn't a great illustration. We'll make a better one. But Dwarven Citadel, 500-foot space that the massive asteroid fortress occupies. We currently have 20-foot mecha. Each square is 50 feet, so we can have at different ranks of Bastion, we can create larger mecha. A scale of 1 to 5 that corresponds with your proficiency bonuses gained as a character. 1st, 5th, 9th, 13th, 17th level, 1 through 5. So the scaling of the mecha goes 10 feet, 20 feet, 30 feet, 40 feet, 50 feet. And that's as large as we're making mecha currently. We could potentially make mecha that are 100, 500 feet in size. Basically ships that are shaped like people instead of fish is basically how this stuff works. And just to remind folks real quick, I'm going to actually pull this off on its own space here. If you're interested in this kind of stuff, the Spelljammer Combat and Exploration document that we published on the DMsGuild last year and just updated a couple months ago for 5e is a 100% free preview. If you click that button, pops open this document here. I'm going to close it over here and over here. And all the documents that we're going to be working in today, the Eberron Spelljammer Mecha Kaiju XCOM Bastion Campaign, which I just showed you the maps for, and specifically the Spelljammer Kaiju and Constructs expansion. This is going to lean further into the Spelljammer ship designs that we have in this particular supplement. All my books are 100% free preview. So you can read my ideas. If you like them and you want to buy them, God bless you. Thanks for the support. If you read them and you don't like them, I wouldn't expect you to buy them at all. So, but the campaign workbench is here. The Kaiju, the Kaiju and Constructs book is here. Our subclass list is here using the mechanics that are in our Spelljammer book. And then the Bastion Campaign is the workhorse that helped us build all the different asteroid communities that we did here on stream. So the way that the Spelljammer ship is basically any class. You don't have to be a spellcaster to pilot a Spelljammer with these variant rules. Any character. All you got to do is focus, which a focus is a way of attuning to an object by maintaining concentration on it. You can maintain concentration on as many objects as you want, but it requires an action or a bonus action to focus on objects. So while you're sitting in a pilot's chair, it's also considered an orrery station so that you can, since your vision expands to basically become the ship, and you kind of sync with the ship, you become, it's almost like druid shape, wild shaping into the ship. So while you're piloting and focused, you can move the limbs of the ship as if you were that creature. You can bend and flex like a real animal if it's shaped like an animal. So if we scroll further down here, we're looking at fighter craft, which are up to 50 feet in size, and then vessels, which could be up to 500 feet in size. So like a spiderling, like a Nyogi spiderling, is 40 feet in size. So it occupies 8x8 space at the 5-foot scale. An elven warbird, which is kind of like a landing ship or light light harassed fighter craft. It's 50 feet in size. So that's a 10x10 at the 5-foot scale, or 1x1, a one square at the 50-foot scale. So like over here, like a scorpion ship, for example, is 75 feet in Spelljammer. So it would occupy a 2x2 space at the 50-foot scale. Meanwhile, next to it is the squid ship, which is 250 feet long. So it occupies a 5x5 space at the 50-foot scale, or a single 500-foot square. The Star Moth Elven ship is 4x4 at the 50, 200 feet long. Night Spider, also 4x4, 50-foot scale. And the Hammerhead ship, also 250 feet, 5x5 at the 50-foot scale. So here's all these different ships work, right? And so if I were to be piloting a Night Spider, for instance, I would be able to nosh with my mandibles. I would be able to bend my body around my abdomen. I could move my different legs. I could walk if I wanted to, or I can make melee attacks with you with the spear legs or with the biteables. If you were piloting a squid ship, you would be able to move the tentacles around to grapple with if you wanted to. And of course, you have all the siege weapons and harpoon flingers on the back of the ships, or inside the abdomen of this one, or like on the back of the ship, with siege crew that are firing ranged siege weapons, while the pilot can engage in melee combat with whatever weapons it is that the thing comes with naturally. But that's the thing. These are all fish, insect, and ship and crustacean shaped stuff. We have traditional ships, which can't really bend and move around a lot, but they also are seaworthy and look like they're very stealthy. They can just blend in with other ships on deck someplace. But if we were to use this wild shape idea of basically expanding our presence into the ship that we're occupying at the 50 or 500 foot scale, if we made it human shaped, then it would just be able to move and walk like a human. Now it's mecha. All we gotta do is give it massive sized weapons to go fight massive sized creatures, and you have the Mecha Kaiju system. So this system already exists inside of this document that we're looking at. And again, that one is free to look at, and if you want to buy it, you get like 120 assets, including all the stuff that you need for Lattice or Axis. It actually, oops, I closed it, and I didn't need to do that. Let's reopen that closed window. Just as a final note, one of the things I'm really proud of about this is taking all these mechanics and converting the entire Adventure Lattice or Axis into using these Spelljammer mechanics. So like if you wanted to have a fleet battle that was actually a fleet battle at the end of the campaign, or during Vocap's Ladder, or fighting Nyogi in an asteroid field, all that stuff has been built out into 5e combat at the 50 or 500 foot scale. So this is going into the wreckage of the Nautiloid. This is the Nyogi Nautiloid ambush in the asteroid field. When you get done investigating the wreckage of the Nautiloid, A is where the Night Spiders fighter craft ambush you, and this is where your ship is presumably starting. And your goal is to get out of the asteroid field, which is either here at point 2 or down here at point 2. And this is the 500 foot scale. Each of these numbers is like a doorway that you have to make a piloting check to cross through, because the asteroids are shifting around and colliding with each other. So when you dip through these different areas, you make a piloting check, and if you fail, you take smashing, bludgeoning damage from asteroid impacts, and it could scuttle you. You could lose focus on your helm and then be adrift until somebody can take control of the helm and fire it up again. So you have this B. This is where the Night Spider, the 200-foot carrier ship that supports the Spiderling fighter craft, this is where it's currently at. So it will creep around, depending on what the Spiderlings tell it, which pathway the characters are choosing to go. The Night Spider's in a position to be able to intercept them either way. And these asteroids, since it's the 500-foot scale and Spiderlings are only 40 feet in size, these walls, these clusters of asteroids, is only difficult terrain for the Spiderlings, but it's impassable for vessels like what your characters will be on and what the Night Spider is. So we have to use these pathways to navigate through the asteroid field. And this is just what it's at right now. If you come back later, the DM, you can rebuild the asteroid field to be a different configuration. But you can create little asteroid dungeons to fight stuff inside. It's like when we do our kaiju battles, there's all sorts of asteroids and stuff that are just drifting in the system around these. So if the kaiju attack the planet and then they run away, they'll run off into one of these asteroid dungeons. So we'll be building asteroid dungeons that the kaiju and our carrier ship has to move through methodically through whatever pathways we set up, but all the fighter craft and smaller kaiju will be able to dance between the different asteroid clusters as difficult terrain and engage each other at that smaller scale, or try to outflank and ambush each other along the other sides. So a lot of fun options there, especially like when we start fighting pirates. There's a ton of asteroids just floating around intentionally so that we can do these little clusters like this. So anytime we're doing kaiju battles, as soon as we can chase them off of the rock, they're going to ditch and run into an asteroid belt. And if your characters are familiar with the asteroid belt, I can give you the same asteroid, and you're familiar with it already. And the team may gain familiarity with the dungeons that they're basically staking out and claiming as their own. So, and we'll shift it around a little bit as time goes on, but for the most part, they'll remain relatively static so the team can gain territory mastery as they're fighting these kaiju to try to use the environment against them. So I think that's going to be a lot of fun. So once we get done with the kaiju and mecha mechanics, we'll be leaning into these asteroid dungeon ideas. But you know, this just demonstrating that these mechanics that we're building for the Spelljammer system that's already in this book is using those mechanics to change what kind of combat encounters you can have on your ships in light of Zaraxis. So, yeah, there you go. This is Topola's tower at the center of another asteroid field, and in this one, the Scaver, Big Mama, that comes through. All these different points on the map are different quote-unquote points of interest that Big Mama goes to. And so anytime she comes into the area, and you're supposed to get rid of her, right, because she's a threat to everything here. So every time she comes into the area, roll a d6 to see where she starts, and then after like d4 rounds or whatever, she'll move on to another location. And when your team attacks her, you can't use your siege weapons or bigger attacks because the asteroids are providing cover. So she can dip and dodge between the asteroids as she roams the area and trying to avoid your characters attacking. So this is the 50-foot scale squares. The jolly boats that we have off of the ship allow us to operate at the 50-foot scale and dodge and rift between these asteroids along with the fish to chase it down. And if you can do enough damage to it so that it becomes concerned about its life, it'll bail on the area. As soon as it bails on the area, it's an open space. You can then take shots at it with siege weapons, since it doesn't have cover anymore, and kill it off. So it's just a matter of, if Big Mama turns around, it's like a CR-12 fish. So it'll kill your characters if it can get a hold of you. So having a fast-moving ship with harpoon flingers and rams on them to be able to fight the ship at its scale, as long as it doesn't bite one of you off the ship, you should be fine. Your hit point to hit point ratio is going to be pretty good. So, yeah, just a different way of approaching how to play Spelljammer campaigns by adding a tactical combat system in that works at the 50 and 500 foot scale, like you would expect it to, like in a 5e dungeon at the 5 foot scale, like normal. So that's what we're doing here. So I'm going to we'll just have this book set aside for a moment. We're going to get back into, here's the actual Eberron Spelljammer Mecha Kaiju. It's a link down below. It's a read-only document, but you're certainly welcome to check it out. I don't think I'm ever going to publish this. I might make something like it as a campaign kit, but I generally don't publish my campaigns. I make campaigns to playtest the ideas that we have, and if they're fun, we publish them. And we put it on the DMsGuild, and we share it, and we do all this kind of crap. We also have the Spelljammer Subclasses book, which uses those unique mechanics for characters operating machines at the 50 and 500 foot scale. We have 13 subclasses for all of the different artificer through wizard. We also put different types of weapon masteries onto different siege weapons. So Eldritch Cannons, Vex. Ballistas have Graze. Mangonels, Sap. Trebuchets, Slow. Bludgeoning Rams, Push. Piercing Rams, Grapple. Grappling Tentacles and Claws also grapple. Grappling is when you hit with an attack, you automatically force a grappling save. So that's fun. Harpoon Flingers, they Vex. So these are just simple weapon masteries you can put, because you can attack with your weapon crews. You can attack with siege weapons as often as you have attacks per round. So like a 13th level fighter can make 3 or possibly even more attacks per round. If you use your bonus action as well, you can get 4 attacks per round, assuming your team is able to reload can pass the reload check, which is basically you make an attack roll, and whether you hit or not, depending on how you roll, determines on whether the team can reload the weapon or not. Is essentially how it works. So when you make the attack roll, you're determining, did I deal damage or not, and you're determining, did I automatically reload the weapon so our crew can fire again this round? Or if we didn't roll high enough, then we botch our reload, and now the commander of those siege crew either uses an attack action or a reaction, like an attack, a bonus action, or a reaction to issue an order to reload the weapon. And as long as you can keep either hitting your reload DC, or have action economy to reload the weapon during your turn, the siege, and you've got like 4 or 5, maybe 8 people on the siege weapon, and they all have actions, bonus actions, and reactions. And depending on what their CR is, they could have multiple attacks and a multi-attack. So they have as much action economy as your characters do at the 1st, 5th, 9th, 13th, and 17th level. So if I have like 7 fighters working together that all have 3 attacks and a bonus action and a reaction, I think between the 5 of us, we could probably fire that siege weapon more than maybe once per round. So this is just leaning into that idea of sharing action economy as a crew. Kind of like the same way as the Bastion campaign makes ability checks as a Bastion, representing the crew member, the hirelings working together as a team as well to carry out the order that you issue. So it's all using this scaling DC system of people. And this has just got different mechanics for each of the subclasses, because you don't have to be a spellcaster with this to be a pilot. So a barbarian that's raging while piloting is providing resistance to taking damage from siege fire that comes in, and your reckless attack applied to the melee attacks that you make with the ship while you're piloting, like a barbarian, like a berserker barbarian. In the pilot seat of a scorpion ship, has its tail, which has harpoon flingers or ballistas up top with a crew that can be being issued commands either by the barbarian pilot or by somebody else on deck that wants to use their action economy to make more ranged attacks. But he can also use the rest, he can use his rage to increase his attacks as he's piloting with melee. He can get his rage bonus to increase the damage. Advantage to the attack and disadvantage to hit the ship. It all applies. Your fast movement, you can apply your barbarian's fast speed to make the ship go 2 squares faster than the 5 squares that it normally would. So it's like a rogue can evade, has an easy time evading people and escaping, or shifting speeds quickly to be able to pull 0G maneuvers of popping in real fast fire and then bounce away. Requiring a reaction to catch up to and stay with the ship, for instance. A whole bunch of really, really cool stuff. The monk can pilot the ship while not on the ship. So his key awareness expands so far that he encompasses the ship even if he's not on it. So he can make a move and command it to move around. So you could have a 15-foot mecha working with your monk, and the monk could be giving up their action economy during combat to either move themselves alongside the mecha or to use their ki to command the mecha to move and coordinate with them at the 5-foot scale. So that's a really fucking fun class. So these are different options that are in the subclasses, but and then the asteroid mining toolkit Eberron Spelljammer campaign. This is what I'm using with my home table, not my playtest table. My playtest table is Saturday afternoons on my Discord, which is linked down below. But my home table is on Wednesday afternoons, and they've been running an Eberron Spelljammer campaign for almost 2 years now. And we've been using Mecha and Kaiju and Bastion system to make their mining operation in orbit around Eberron work. This campaign's kind of like that one, but instead of it being focused on mining and the issues that arise inside the mines, this is that XCOM style of protecting the community from Kaiju attack. So we're going to dive into the. I've talked through everything I needed to talk through, so thanks for going through that walk with me here, guys. We're going to get back into our official documents. So the first thing I want to do is look at Spelljammer Kaiju Constructs. I wanted to look at some of the things that we can do with Mecha, and I wanted to start looking at a funny thing. There was I basically got into an argument with somebody in Reddit about the amplified spellcasting rules that we have for Spelljammer, and basically that is that's in the book here. And let's go to the spellcasting chapter of the book. Here we are. The way that it currently is very binary. If you want to expand a spell to not be because you have spells at the 5-foot scale, and then we have Mecha operating at the 50-foot scale, and then we have vessels operating at the 500-foot scale. I wanted spells to still be available to characters while they're running around in mech suits, fighter craft, and vessels. So the idea was when you cast a spell and you're piloting or focusing on on a spell amplifier, if you spend an additional spell slot, you can basically expand the spell to the 50-foot scale instead of the 5-foot scale. If you spend 2 spell slots, you can expand it to the 500-foot scale instead of the 50-foot scale. But I got some static over the idea on Reddit over the weekend that really got underneath my skin, I admit. But the positive of that is it made me start really thinking, like, am I off base? Is this something? Am I right? Was all the playtesting that we did with this stuff, was that good? But the problem is that I think we were playtesting in good faith. We weren't playtesting in bad faith. And so the arguments that were being brought up is like, if I want to abuse this system, X, Y, Z. So I wanted to take a step back and reassess where we're at. And I happened to pick up the Adventures in Faerun book. And the Adventures in Faerun book has D&D Beyond. It has circle magic. So let's take a hot second here. Forgotten Realms, Heroes of Faerun. Here we go. So Heroes of Faerun, circle magic. What this does is it lets a group of characters work together to amplify a spell. And like, for instance, if I wanted to throw a fireball at a city a mile away, I could put 5 spell slots into casting that fireball between me and my circle of friends that are all contributing spell slots to amplify the spell. 1,000 feet per spell slot, up to 5 spell slots equals times 5,000 feet up to a mile away. So that's how the spell works. So it's like, well, Wizards of the Coast published something that allows you to target shit a mile away with spells. I'm not that far off base. So I figured we could just use some of these mechanics and rebuild the spell amplifier system with the spell jamming helms, and that would be pretty much, it'd be close to compliant. We'll change it up in some to work with our 50 and 500-foot scaling. But the lesson here is that Wizards of the Coast is already fine with us casting spells that target shit a mile away. I shouldn't have that problem. The big problem is area of effect, and honestly, area of effect was the big problem. So we're going to fix that. So I'm going to humbly start redesigning the spellcasting section. I knew what it was. So what we're going to end up doing is I'm going to add on 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to add on like 4 or 5 pages of blank space in the original document, and I'm just going to start transcribing notes and build and just basically rebuild this chapter to simplify range and area of effect to be compliant with the rules that we're going to basically lay out right now. So laying out the rules that I want to use. Let's press a bunch of buttons here. I'm getting my shit lined up here and where are you? Mon petit chou. Yeah, there it is. Okay, cool. So I'm going to grab this, bring it out to here. I'm going to fold this up. Okay, cool. Let's see. Spelljammer Kaiju and Constructs. Let's get into vehicle combat, environment exploration, spellcasting. Let's get down to spellcasting. It's not hyperlinked yet, but we're going to just rebuild spellcast. It's going to be, I'm really glad I got the static. It really made me take a second look at it, and I was operating in too good of faith. It works, and for the most part, it works great. But when you start thinking about, well, what if I want to throw a 500, like a 2-mile fireball at a city? And although there are answers to that, I think it'd just be simpler just to simplify stuff so that it's more straightforward and less abusable. And that I don't know why that wasn't a big problem when we published it, but it crumpled pretty quick under scrutiny. So it's obviously it was a blind spot that we're gonna fix. Oh, right on, man. Have a good night, my dude. Glad you were able to swing by. Thanks a lot, man. I'll see you in the future. Environments and exploration. And let's get down to... Here we are. Okay, so we're in spellcasting here. Okay, so what we're going to do... Amplified spells. Okay, revisions. We had revised 2025 maybe a week or two before Faerun came out, so I think that's kind of funny. Okay, so what are we doing here? So we have amplifying spells allowed when focusing on a spell jamming helm. Let's see. We have what are a number of different things. We have self-target. We have range, we have area of effect, we have damage, and concentration. These are the major components that we need to consider. Or rather, maybe, self-target, range, targeting. Oh yeah, let's do it like this. Let's go targeting and then self-targeting. Targeting, AoE, damage, concentration. These are the things that we need to worry about. So targeting, let's see. When you target a ship, let's see. When you target a ship, the pilot is affected. For instance, a suggestion cast at the ship will target the pilot. Let's see. Attacking the ship with a spell that deals... when you target a ship, damage... Let's break this down. Damage. There's a way to word this, and I'm still figuring it out. So bear with me here, folks. I'm going to push this down so it's in another page. Damage. When you cast a spell that deals damage, the ship takes damage as normal unless it's immune to the damage type. For example, ships are immune to poison damage, so that will deal 0 damage. If a spell or effect causes a condition that affects the pilot, like a blindness, deafness spell cast at a ship will blind or deafen the pilot. That, for blah blah, just to keep things simple. That there's more to it, but that's enough for you guys to kind of get the gist. It is already more detailed in the published book already, but I'm just trying to rifle through here because this isn't the main point of what I wanted to do today, but I think it was important that I address it. So let's see, concentration. Let's see, when a pilot. How do I word this? What I want to say is that multiple people that are using spell amplifiers aboard the same ship can support each other on concentration. No, that's one of the things that you can do with circle spells, but I don't think I want to do that. What I do want to do is make a note. Let's see, at the top of the document, though, Spelljammer Kaiju and Constructs. Let's go down to here. To add. When more than one pilot, any concentration checks to needed to remain focused, all attuned, all focusing on the helm can make a concentration check. If at least one succeeds, focus is retained by the pilot. And pilot action. Pilot roll, modify. And support roll, modify. So the action economy with this, which will be important for our mecha, if we go down to let's go back up to our table of contents. And let's go find ship rolls in combat section here. So in the ship rolls, we have basically 4 positions in this game. In this version of Spelljammer, there's 4 roles that characters can play involving Spelljammers in general. Pilot, Siege Commander, Squadron Commander, and Support. So a pilot is moving the ship and attacking with ship melee weapons. The Siege Commander commands siege crews to attack with ranged ship weapons like ballistas, catapults, trebuchets, what we were talking about earlier with hitting your command score or your reload score while making an attack roll to automatically reload your weapon and fire again. Squadron Commanders is the same as Siege Commanders, but instead of commanding a crew of siege workers, siege crew, instead of commanding a siege crew to attack to fire with a siege weapon, a Squadron Commander commands a squadron of ships to attack together. So you could have a fighter, like a squadron of fighter craft that flew in formation and made attacks basically as a group. So it'd be like basically a mob attacking as a single attack, dealing higher damage than a single ship would normally do by itself, with basically a size calculator that determines how much damage you deal based on how many ships and what size and weapons the ships has. It's pretty straightforward formula. Once you figure it out, you know it. But yeah, you can command these multiple ships, and they also have a reload score that the more ships you're commanding as a squadron commander, the more likely it is that the DC to automatically reload weapon, you're going to miss it. So you're going to have to spend action economy lining up the ships again to do basically another coordinated attack. Otherwise, you have to focus on one ship at a time and issue them individual orders to attack, which then greatly lower the difficulty of successfully reloading and firing again. If I have 4 ships firing together, doing like 400 damage as a team, but then I botch my reload score, I'm going to have to spend an attack, reaction, or bonus action for each ship to get them all lined up together and then fire as a burst again, or I could just issue a single attack on each one of those ships. In the end, it's the exact same. It's the same amount of action economy needed to deal the same amount of damage, because each ship individually will do as much damage as all ships together. Doing all ships together, if you can hit the reload DC, you're going to do a lot of damage. And as you get to higher levels, you can afford to have more ships in your squadron and to be able to command them better, but you're going to be fighting larger fleets of ships and larger kaiju, so the numbers balance out. And then the 4th role is support, which is you just assist pilots and commanders, lending your action economy to them so that they can do more stuff. And you can split up these roles each round. So each role uses its action economy in a different way. We all have, during a round of combat, we have verbal commands, we have interaction, like object interactions, we have actions, bonus actions, and reactions. Actions and bonus actions can be used as ship melee attacks, specifically. That's what the pilot can do. But we can also, like, you can use your move action as an object interaction because you're steering the ship, you're not walking around. You have your movement during your round of combat, but that movement would be like standing up off the chair and walking away and don't pilot anymore. Maybe you'll have to do that at some point. But generally, while you're sitting, you give up your movement action, your movement of your round, but instead you use your object interaction to move the ship instead. You can also use the dash action, which we just call move ship. So you can move ship as an object interaction and as the dash action. Of course, the rogue, which has cunning actions, could also use their bonus action to dash again. So you can move in. The base movement for ships is 5 squares, whether it's at the 5, 50, 500, 1 mile, 10 mile, 100 mile, or even 1,000 miles. The maximum speed of squares that you can move in a spelljamming ship is 1,000 miles per square, which sounds ridiculous because the weapons have at most a 1 mile range. So yeah, it's really ridiculous that they can move that fast, but that's the break. If you go to 100 million miles per day, it's like basically 10 million miles per 2 hours, which is basically 1 million miles per 10 minutes, which is 100,000 miles per minute, which is 10,000 miles every 6 seconds, and 10,000. And if you divide up 10,000 miles into 10 squares, 5 squares as a normal movement, and then 5 squares as a dash action, those 10 squares, 1,000 miles each, gets you to 10,000 miles per round maximum flight speed. And then within that maximum flight speed, you then have 1,000 miles, 100 miles, 10 miles, 1 mile, 500 feet, 50 feet, 5 feet, squares that you can move. So as you move, as you slow down to like land, you go from like 1,000 miles to 100 miles to 10 miles to 10 miles to 1 mile to 500 feet to 5 feet, and then full stop. So you have like this ramping up acceleration to these massive speeds, and then you have a deceleration back down to 0 where you can then hover. And if you're already going 100 million miles and you're in pursuit and tracking like in the slalom, or you're moving in formation with other ships, or you're in a running gun across the galaxy in combat with ships, your tactical movement, you can't attack something more than 1 mile away. Another good reason why we should limit the spell range on stuff to 1 mile. That it just makes sense. So we'll get to that in a minute. But basically, melee ship weapons can't basically attack you more than 1 mile away, because they can see it coming from 1 mile away. They can literally just get out of the way. It takes a round for for ranged ship weapons to travel 1 mile away. So anything further than 1 mile takes more than 1 round to arrive. Your target's just going to move. so you're going to miss automatically, unless they don't know you're there, and then you have disadvantage to attack. But you could still hit them because they don't know it's coming. If you catch them by surprise, yeah, you can hit them. Otherwise, if they can see it coming, it automatically misses. So if you're both moving 1,000,000 miles already and your maximum range of combat is 1 mile, it's reasonable that even though the ships go 100 million miles per day, there can be variances in speed from moment to moment. So the two ships can still be on a battle grid. It's just you're both moving in the same direction. So any movement that you make on the grid, like if I've got, like, say, let's do some quick doodles here just to demonstrate for you guys. Hope you guys think this stuff is cool. So if I have one ship here and I've got another ship here, and we're within a mile. So these are, say, 500-foot squares, right? 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 6 squares. So I can move 10 squares if I use the dash action. I can get I can literally get adjacent to you at the 500-foot scale. And then that would mean that we could then zoom in, and the ships are now at the 50-foot scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So this is 500 feet apart at the 50-foot scale. So when the ships get adjacent to each other at the 500-foot scale, we zoom into the 50-foot map, and this is the distance that we see. So I could shift gear down to the 50-foot scale with my ship, and then move 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. I can move 250 feet. I am now within ballista and catapult range. Maybe I can hit you with a grappling hook with the ballista, and if I hit, you're now grappled. So the ship can't get any further away, and I can start using my actions to reel the ship in so it's within docking range, and now I can board your ship, and we can attack at the 5-foot scale like normal characters doing combat. But the ship in an open field is not very interesting. Like we were talking about earlier, like if we start adding in asteroids and all sorts of like hazards and stuff that can be in the system where you dodge into, now you have an opportunity to like play some cat and mouse and try to run around inside here, or like lead people into hazards or whatever's going on. Whoever is more familiar with the territory can take advantage of what they're familiar with. So it works really well. I've done a lot of combat using this 50 and 500 foot scale model. It's been a super fun. But those are the basics of it. So, yeah, you can use your action economy in different ways. So when you're running around as a mecha, you're basically just using your normal action economy to do attacks and cast a spell as a magic action. There you go. So we're amplifying spells. I just wanted to share that with you guys for context. So concentration, we don't have to worry about concentration because the real issue that we wanted to resolve was for the pilots. So that was, where was that? To add pilot role, modify pilot role. I wanted to look at the support role, modify. And now let's go back to the whole point of pulling this up was the support role. We don't pilot a ship. We don't issue commands to ships or siege crews. Instead, we use our action economy to help our other teams. So like if I was a pilot, I could move the ship. I could make ship melee attacks. I could use my bonus action to like make a ram attack or take the defense action to increase my armor class for my ship. Or I can make another attack you can automatically make melee attacks with bonus actions while you're a pilot. You can automatically issue orders to attack as a commander with siege crews and ship squadrons. So it's a very fluid action economy. But I could move the ship, make an attack with the ship melee attacks. I could then, as a siege commander, issue an order for my siege crew to attack with 2 trebuchet. That would be 2 attacks. If they botched the trebuchet reload, I could then use my reaction to reload one of the trebuchets. And while I'm doing that, I could also issue an order to my squadron to, let's say, I could ready an action for the squadron to, say, unleash a barrage of attacks if that kaiju comes out into the open from the asteroids. So that's how I could use my action economy during that turn. And when the kaiju comes out, I would have had to have held on to my reload score here when I botched my trebuchet attacks. So I would not be able to use my reaction to reload because I want to use my reaction to issue that barrage command when I'm ready for my ready action. So again, you can dice up and use your action economy between these different roles as long as you have a siege crew to command, a squadron of ships to command. You're piloting a ship, meaning that you are focused on and adjacent to or sitting on the helm. And support can be done by anybody that's maintaining focus on an amplifier, which can be an orrery station, a spelljamming helm, or an eldritch cannon, which is basically a way to upscale. You can cast a cantrip through the eldritch cannon, and it will do the same damage as a ballista will do as a magic action. So you can fire one eldritch cannon shot per attack action, while like a 13th level fighter could potentially fire a trebuchet 3 times. But a 11th level fighter is doing basically 3d4 times 10. Each trebuchet, each ballista does d4 times 10 damage. So a full, like if I fired 3 of them in a round, it'd be 3d4 times 10 damage that I would deal. The Eldritch Cannon as a cantrip at 3rd level only does 3d8 damage. But if I put a spell slot into it, a 1st and 2nd level spell slot is d4. A 3rd and 4th spell slot is a d6. 5th and 6th is d8. 7th and 8th is a d10, and then a 9th is a d12 times 10 damage. So if I dump spell points or spell slots into my Eldritch Cannon, it can ramp up and deal huge damage. A ballista does d4 times 10 damage. A catapult does d6 times 10 damage. A trebuchet does d8 times 10 damage. A gift cannon does 2d8 damage. And then ship melee weapons do anywhere from d4, d6, d8, d10, or d12, depending on how big the ship is. And fighter craft deal generic, like d4, d6, d8, d10, depending on what kind of a weapon you're using. But it'd be ×1 at the 5-foot scale, ×2 at 10 feet, ×3 at 15 and 20 feet. At 30 and 40 feet, it's 4 dice of whatever. And then at 50 feet, it's 5 dice of whatever. And then at 100, if you were to go into then larger scale, it then becomes like a d4 times 10, d8, d6, d8, d10 as it scales up. So we have that variety. That's why we're limiting Mecha to 50 feet scale, because they have that smaller scale, like that gargantuan curve of smaller scale creatures, like up to the size of the Tarrasque is like a 50-foot scale. So that the normal D&D mechanics as listed work for Mecha, but once we get into hundreds up to 500 feet size ships, the math kind of expands a little bit. So anyway, having said all of that, we can dice up and share our action economy, and if we want to, we can all act together to it's not my turn, but I could chip in my if I haven't taken my turn yet, I could chip in my bonus action to help you do something, or I could chip in my reaction to help you reload, or I could chip in my interaction to move the ship as a co-pilot with you. So I can ante up and give away my action economy until it's my turn in initiative, and at that point, if I have any action economy left, I can use it to do whatever I want, and anyone else downstream that hasn't acted yet can lend their action economy to make me do more stuff. So we still maintain our group and our own individual initiative score, but we can as a team, as a crew working together, we can all sacrifice action economy as we need to make these things happen. That's how the siege crew works, as firing ballistas multiple times per round, because they're all sharing their attacks, bonus action, reactions as action economy as a group of people to share that all to make things happen more efficiently and effectively than normal, so 5e combat can remain. And now you can start juggling how are you operating and working together on the ship to your best ability. So these different roles that exist are built here to help lean into and helping each other in those processes. So I want to go down and look at the siege command actions. Let's go down to the support. There's support. Support action. Help focus, action or bonus action. When you take the action to pilot the ship you are aboard, roll concentration and focus saving throws with advantage until the beginning of your next turn. And I can supplement that. I'm going to upgrade help focus. That's why I came down here, because I knew it was something like that I wanted to do. Let's see, damage. The answer was here. Supports. Help focus. I'm going to change it. Let's change this to while supporting a pilot, if they have to make a concentration check to retain focus on the helm, you can roll as well. If you succeed, they retain focus. Change this to until the start of your next turn. If the pilot has to make a concentration check. There you go. Help focus, which can be either action or bonus action. No, let's do it like this. Help focus reaction. Right, reaction, you can chip in. That's going to be the best way to make use of that. Help focus, when we're in pilot, let's go back to our pilot mechanics here real quick. Where'd you go? There you are. Help reload. Help reload, you can use your reaction to help reload a weapon. Help focus, we're going to change that to a reaction. Target, action or bonus action. When you take the action, the pilot or a commander that you can communicate with has advantage with the next attack roll or command check against the target that you can see or detect through an orrery station. Ward pilot, oh, here we go. When a pilot or commander aboard the same ship as you chooses to take damage for the ship, crew, or squadron, you can choose to take any amount of the damage instead. You cannot drop below 0 hit points this way. Ward pilot is a pretty good one. That's a lot of choices to make, so I'm happy with that depth of decision. Pilots, where do you go? Here. Let's see. Whenever, all right, whenever the pilot is forced to make a concentration check to retain focus. Whenever the pilot, every other creature attuned, focusing on the helm can also make a concentration check. If any succeed, the pilot retains focus. And depending on whose initiative turn, if everyone's, the only way you can focus on the helm is if you've used an action or a bonus action to focus on it, and you are occupying the space or adjacent to the space that the helm occupies. So basically either sitting on it or standing next to it. That would allow you to be attuned. So like Chewbacca and Han Solo and the Millennium Falcon, they sit side by side in the pilot, in the cockpit, in the front seats together. That's where the helm is the front of the cockpit. And both of them are sitting adjacent to it. So they are both taking the pilot action. So Chewie and Han can freely use their action economy together to pilot the ship. When it's Han's turn, he's using his action economy, and Chewie is acting as a support character. When initiative comes around to Chewie's turn, now Han is supporting Chewie, and Chewie is the pilot until initiative rolls over, and now Han's the pilot again. And you can have as many pilots on the ship as you want. And that's fine, because you're choosing, am I spending my time and space near the crew, acting as a siege commander? Am I on an orrery station commanding squadrons of ships? Or am I at the helm helping pilot the ship? And you can do all of those if you have, depending on how you arrange your devices, you can have all of that in the helm. Like the helm can also have an orrery station and can be adjacent to an eldritch cannon for you to attune to. And while you're piloting, you can see and interact with everybody aboard the ship. So in the belly of the ship, safely out of view in your in the bridge, you can command siege crew on top of the deck, and you can act as their siege commander to issue orders to them, like verbal commands, attack actions, bonus actions, reactions, like you normally would. But if you're the pilot or if you're attuned to an orrery aboard the ship, you're able to perceive consciously anywhere aboard the ship, just like you normally would in like typical Spelljammer. But that really lets you command anybody anywhere on the ship, and you can also target anybody anywhere on the ship with spells, because you are treated as being anywhere while you're piloting, and the ship is considered basically you. While you're piloting it, you can cast a spell at anybody on the ship from any angle that you want at any time. Sieging a Spelljammer ship that knows it's being boarded by enemies is dangerous, because they can just watch your every step and they can hit you with spells from the bridge anytime that they want. It is difficult to siege a warship that is behind barricades and blast doors that are there to prevent soldiers from easily getting to the helm. It's armored, and while it's there, you can be flinging any number of spells and effects at them through the helm to the monsters that are trying to crawl through the ship. So it's a battle of attrition. Super fun stuff. So that takes care of the pilot role. It's automatically, you can do concentration checks. If you're in the support role and you aren't piloting, you can use the help focus as a reaction. That's all you need. That's all you needed for that. I'm happy with this. When I read the circle magic in the Heroes of Faerun, it was talking about sharing concentration, and I hadn't thought of that. I think it's a fucking great idea. So it's in the circle spells. I'm all for it. We already have the team. Like basically, the helm acts as the circle. So people that are focusing on the same magical device can basically synchronize together like that. That's what it's designed to do. It's just I didn't realize. Well, I hadn't looked at Faerun until now. So super fun. I'm really happy to see that. Let's see, AOE. So we're gonna do targeting. We had targeting. We just took care of concentration. There is nothing to do with concentration. Spells remain as published except for as detailed below. Let's see. AOE, we're going to change it so that we don't expand the AOE on stuff. That's going to limit what spells are useful, but I'm fine with that. AOE, spells do not area of effect for spells is not amplified. There. Before we were allowing spells to amplify to the 50-foot and 500-foot scale for 1 or 2 spell slots. And the more I argued about it on Reddit this week, the more I decided, you know what, it probably could be done a better way. And then I just picked up Faerun, Heroes of Faerun, because I'm like, I've heard of circle magic, but I don't know anything about it yet. So let's take a look, and it had all the answers that I wanted. So I'm fine. I am perfectly fine for eating my crow, having some humble pie, admitting that my spellcasting system, amplification system can be better. And what do you know? Wizards of the Coast already did it for me. All I gotta do is translate it into Spelljammer. So I'm super stoked. So that's what we're in the process of doing. We can't expand the size of AoE. So we take care of that immediate problem of city bombing. But we can increase the range of spells. So the way that's written in Circle Magic is, I'm going to peel this out in a separate layer here so it's easier to bounce back and forth. There we go, augment. When you cast a spell, if it has at least a range of 5 feet, you increase the range of 1,000 feet per secondary caster contributing to the spell, up to a maximum of 1 mile increase, which is a mile divided by 5 is 1,000. So 5 spell slots equals a mile. So that's what we're going to do. Now, I believe how it's supposed to. It doesn't say specifically, but I believe maybe I've missed it somehow. But I believe that like if they wanted to expand the range of a fireball by 1,000 feet, you would have a second person expend an additional 3rd level spell slot, and it would take an extra round to do it. That's Circle Magic, and you can just do that. Anyone can just do that anytime that they want. That's just a part of the game now. There you go. And I can throw that fireball a mile away if the 5 of us around us had 5 3rd level spell slots to toss into it. There you go. Let's fire away. But the Spelljammer system, again, the Spelljammer system is designed to work at the 50 and the 500 foot scale. So we're using the Spelljammer and the spell amplifying devices of the Orrery Station, the Helm, and the Eldritch Cannon. Those are just 3 basic spell amplifiers that can be used. We're using those to get rid of the need for the additional characters, and we're reducing it so that it can still, like, when you cast Fireball while you're in a spell amplifier or focusing on a spell amplifier that you're adjacent to, you can spend additional spell slots yourself to ramp up the spell. So range for each additional level of spell expended either by upcasting or adding additional spell slots of the same or lower level, you can increase the range of a spell by 1,000 feet, which is 2 squares at the 500 foot scale. Up to 1 mile requiring 5 levels of spell used to amplify the range. That's a little redundant, but I'm just being redundant for now. So 3rd level spell, if I want to hit you a mile away, because again, siege weapons can't attack more than a mile away. It makes so much sense that the limit that they put here was, I love that they put the limit on here being up to a mile away. That is literally the range of fire for weapons. So that's just, I love that. That is perfect. Again, I am humbled and I am humbled that I feel like I was losing that conversation, arguing about the spell range and AoEs that I was using. I will, again, happily take my licks on that because it led me to wanting to explore Circle Magic to find out what's a better way of doing it. Because the Circle Magic came out after we had revised the book for 2025, like a week before. So it's been out for a few months now. I don't mind going back and fixing it, but we have to go back and fix it because I'm not going to feel right until we do. So it's not going to be my highest priority, but we're going to be working on it. And once it's updated, we'll plug that in and update the DMsGuild with it, and it'll be our default. So now if we want to increase our range, let's see, range, targeting, let's put what range is under. I don't know how we're supposed to organize this. I guess we'll go into the player's handbook and see how they organize it, and then organize it similarly, and then just make notes where it's needed. Self-targeting, if a ship is up to, let's see, to target a ship you are piloting, you are focusing through, while attuned to a spell amplifier attached to a ship self-targeting spells can be amplified to include the ship you are focusing on. 50 up to 50 feet, up to 50 feet. 1 spell level, up to 100 feet. 2 spell levels, up to 200 feet. 3 spell levels, up to 300 feet. 4 spell levels, up to 400 feet. 5 spell levels, up to 500. 6 spell levels. So, the mecha that we're piloting, they can, for 1 spell slot, you can amplify the mecha to benefit from, say, invisible. 2nd level spell plus 1 spell slot. Invisible for your mecha is a 3rd level spell slot. But to turn a squid ship or a hammerhead ship invisible, it's 250 feet in size. So it's going to take 4 extra spell, 2 for the invisible spell, and then an extra 4 spell levels to make the ship invisible. And that is one of the spells that we provide notes about. So let's go look at invisible real quick. Fairy Fire, 1st level. There we go, 2nd level. When targeting a ship with this spell, attacks targeting outside the ship's air envelope in the effect. 1 spell. So so you know how D&D works. When you're invisible, if you cast a spell or make attacks, the invisibility ends. With this, when you cast invisibility, basically the size of your air bubble, the space that you occupy, that's where the invisibility spell exists. So if I have a 300-foot ship and like 6 or 7 25-foot fighter craft, if I invisible my space around my vessel, the fighter craft and all the crew and everything aboard that are inside of that bubble also benefit from that invisibility. If I had an enemy ship blunder into my bubble, it would suddenly be point blank range with my whole team, and that ship would suddenly go invisible from anyone outside of the bubble. If I spend 2 spell slots, the way that it was, 2 spell slots, the ship could be up to 500 feet in size and still exists as that bubble. If I attack outside of the bubble, or if I cast a spell outside of the bubble, that pops the bubble. As long as I'm casting spells or making attacks inside of the bubble, the invisibility remains. Pass without trace. It covers me and everything around inside of that bubble. It covers like etherealness. You can turn your ship ethereal. Everything inside the space that your ship occupies, including other ships, all become ethereal with you. If they were to leave your bubble while in the ethereal plane, they would be stranded there when your ship returns from the ethereal plane. Same thing with blink. If you bounce out of the air bubble, if you bounce out of the bubble while you're blinked, then you would be left. Well, I think with blink you just automatically get shunted back to the material plane. But with etherealness, you would stay in the ethereal plane. Let's see, what's something else to look at real quick? Pass without trace. Protection from poison. While this spell remains in effect, the air envelope of the chosen ship can't be fouled or become deadly. If the air envelope is already foul or deadly, it is considered fresh for the duration of the spell. And again, for a ship up to 50 feet in size, it's 1 spell slot. And how it was, for 2 spell slots, you get up to 500 feet. But now, because of circle magic, we're being a little meaner with how easy you can amplify stuff. So what this is going to do is this is going to, if you want to use amplified spells on your ship, small fighter craft is going to be a lot more sensible for a lower level budget. Higher level characters or collections of characters expending spell slots together to ramp up magic for their ship. Another reason to have multiple characters attuned to spell amplifiers aboard a ship. Amplifying spells allowed when focusing on a Spelljammer helm or any other spell amplifier attached to the ship. Multiple multiple creatures with spell slots can contribute to the casting of the amplified spell if the spell requires concentration. Everyone contributing to the amplification must remain focused and concentrating that's right, must remain focused if, let's see, no, I'm not going to bother with that. That's overly complicated. Let's see. I want to keep it simple. This is much harsher than what we had, but the spell jamming hell, all the magic equipment you need to make the ship go and do is basically paying for the action economy. I'm happy with that. I'm happy with that. My detractors online might not be content with that, but I'm very happy with this modification. So when targeting a ship, self-target yourself. Range for each additional level of spell expended. You can increase the range. We have that taken care of. AoE does not increase with this amplification. You can with circle magic. We're not doing it here. Let's see. Target, range, touch. Self-target, touch. Spells with a range of touch do not require amplification, but can only be cast by the pilot and touch or make a melee attack as a pilot to affect a target. If the target is aboard the ship, you can automatically touch the target if they are in contact with the ship. Because again, anywhere and everywhere is you while you are the pilot. So that's fair. So self-target, range is resolved. Self-target is resolved. We don't have to worry about like targeting. We already have the rules for targeting things and shit in there. It's just the range, the self-targeting, touch range. AoE doesn't change. Damage. We have all the notation about like damaging people and stuff, but as always, this is always the rule, but damage does not increase with an amplified spell. If you're dealing 8d6 with a lightning bolt, if you amplify it to hit a mile away, it's still only going to do 8d6 damage, and that ship you just hit has 400 hit points plus whatever the crew, plus whatever the pilot, the support amplifier, and any co-pilot hit points have. They can all share their hit points to keep the ship from getting hurt, or the ship prevents the crew from getting hurt. It just depends on where you're at in comparison to the amount of damage that the ship can take. So, like cast Warning Bond on a pilot, and the pilot just decides to take 50 points of damage instead of the ship. Warding Bond's going to reduce that down to 25 damage, and then you, like if you've ward bonded the pilot and you're like a support cleric, you've got the Warding Bond, so that guy only takes 25 damage, and then you take only 12 damage. So because you took half of the damage and you're resistant to it, so that 25 to the pilot, 12 to you, and that 50 damage is now resolved. Or if the ship has like, if it's a metal ship, it has damage reduction of 20. So if 50 damage hits the ship, 20 gets soaked off the top by the ship. That leaves 30 points left. I could give 10 points to the. I could give 5 points to the pilot. No, it has to be split even. So I'll take 8 points. The pilot takes 7, and then I have resistance, so that 8 points gets reduced down to 4. So the pilot took 5, I took 4, the ship took 20. Sorry, it's 20. It was 50. 20 is 30. So 15 to the pilot, 15 to me, which gets cut in half to 8. So that 50 damage got reduced down to 15 to him and 8 to me. And then if that barbarian was raging, if the barbarian was a pilot and the barbarian was raging, the ship would have taken 20 points of damage. I could have put all 30 points on the barbarian, who then gets resistance to it, which drops down to 15. And say if I then ward bond from there, he would only take 8 points of damage, 7 points of damage. I would take 8, and then that 8 would be reduced down to 4. So your character's abilities, casting like Blade Ward on yourself, or like absorb elements. These are really useful spells. A rogue that's piloting has cunning actions. Has cunning defense and evasion that they can use as reactions to avoid damage or to take no damage from area effect spells while they're piloting. So, super useful stuff, super fun. So we're going to end up removing this and area of effect, no. So much simpler. I'm probably going to shave off 3 pages, which means I can add in a bunch more descriptive stuff. Weapon attack damage, movement, spells that increase movement. Oh, we'll keep this here. No, I don't need that. We'll keep movement. And then notable spells. And, well, let's get rid of the notable spells, because there's a lot of them. No, there isn't. Notable spells. We don't need that. And this is the Mecha Kaiju section. So I want to take a little bit of time walking through those spell amplification mechanics. They're a lot less binary, a little bit more. Yeah, let's get this down here, out of the way. Yeah, I do not mind losing that fight. It led me to take a closer look and to explore and find better rules that Wizards had already published that we can use to make this thing far more reasonable. Keeping ranges up to within a mile jives with how the system works. We already didn't want to amplify damage. The AoE was the only real problem. And I think just removing increased AoE is probably just going to be fine. It's going to keep the game from breaking any more than it already has. So I think I'm content with that. Okay, cool. So there's all that. Let's go now that we've taken care of that. Let's go into our Kaiju, our Mecha. Spelljammer Kaiju Constructs. Thank you, Timely Timer.
Where are we at?
7. Oh, we're doing great. I've got another hour or so to play today. So when we were building this, we were originally thinking about Warforged and Eberron, or Auto Gnomes in the Spelljammer Adventures in Space campaign. They are construct species that you can choose as a player character. And so what we did was in Eberron, there's these things called docents, which are basically like little metallic golf balls that hold an AI or like a spirit consciousness that either knows stuff, has like proficiency in a tool, proficiency in a skill, might have like a spell or a cantrip that it can bestow. If you plug this thing into your Warforged, there's these little slots that Warforged have on their body that if you plug one of these docents into them, they can then gain that skill, or gain that weapon proficiency, or like gain that feat, or gain the casting of that spell. So the idea is that instead of the Warforged and the Auto Gnome being the species, and you plug these docents into them to gain new abilities, instead the docent is the species, and you plug their consciousness into different warframes or constructs to animate those constructs, just like you would when you're spell jamming with a helm. So instead of having a helm, a Warforged's helm is the docent slot. So you drop a docent in, they effectively become focused and have permanent focus and are now embodying this Warforged body. That could be shaped like anything. A docent is a very small object, so we could have like a spider, a tiny like this size spider, drop a docent onto it, and now it's like a little scuttlecraft that's running around and picking at stuff. In my Eberron campaigns, we'll often have like a bunker complex, like a bastion. It's like an AI system, so docents control the operation of doors, the sentries, the weapons that operate the place, and it's fully automated, empowered by a collective of docents that are using their action economy like these pilot roles do, or like these squadron commander roles, to command automatons like animated suits, or like iron cobras or iron golems or whatever, and plus the hazards and the traps and the weapons of the facility itself, either anti-ship weapons, anti-mech weapons, or like embodying mech to pick up weapons and smash shit. So I've been doing that for years, but now where I actually have a book I can justify putting that stuff into. So we've been building all those rules out. You have your physical stats, your sentient stats become a default, like your physical stats become the default of what your machine is able to do. If the machine has a higher ability score, just like with wild shape with druids, if you have a really strong druid form, you can use those stats. Chugga. So then the idea is that a forged, like a docent can be anything from a tiny sized vehicle to a 500-foot warframe. So fighting styles: War Golem Pilot. In a vehicle-themed campaign, a character can gain this style for free, including the Artificer, Barbarian, Fighter, Monk, Paladin, Ranger, Rogue, while spellcasters must spend a feat to access pilot combat. You can pilot War Golems as though it is your natural body. So if you didn't want to just dive into my Spelljammer rules whole cloth, you can peel out the mecha rules with the War Golem pilot idea. Let's see. Fantasy machines. I'll skip past this stuff. Construction, which gives you damage reduction. A base armor class. You can see here, heavy construction gives you a +5 to strength and constitution checks and saving throws automatically. Heavy materials like stone and metal. Light materials like wood and like wood, chitin, ceramics, and then composite material is like would be like bone, or a hybrid between like wood and metal. That would be considered a composite. So light, composite, and heavy. Heavy gives you a +5 to strength and constitution checks and saves, but you get 0 for dexterity. A composite material gives you a +2 to strength and constitution, but a maximum +2 to your dexterity. And light material doesn't give you any bonuses to strength, constitution, and doesn't give you any bonuses to dexterity. It's just whatever your pilot has. Hey, what's going on? Jetstream. Hello, welcome to the mix. Yeah, we're doing Spelljammer Mecha Kaiju stuff. The armor class is different based on the material. Heavy material, not only is it SC, but it also has the heavy plate armor, 18, and it doesn't get modified by dexterity. Composite material gets the +2 bonus max, just like medium plate armor does, or like medium armors. But as a pilot, you can either use your dexterity or your intelligence bonus to your armor class. And the light material is only a base 13 plus your dex or your int. So all in all, any of these can get up to 18, and this one kind of gets screwed in the middle at 17, but there you go. And then there's damage reduction. If a ship, we're not doing vessels, we're only doing mecha. So mecha are up to 50 feet in size. So craft, if it's made out of a light material, it doesn't have any damage resistance. It's just damage is damage. If it's composite material, reduce the damage by 5. If the material is heavy, reduce the damage by 10. And the cost is to build mecha, like a frame. In general, it's 100 gold per 5 feet of space that it occupies. So right now we're working with 20-foot mecha. So if the mecha is made out of light material, it's 400 gold. 20 divided by 5, 4 times 100. If it's heavy material, it's 800 gold. If it's composite material, it'd be 600 gold. So, yeah, this would be the uncommon magic item rarity cost, or basically second rank, 400 gold, and third rank or rare items are up to 4,000 gold value. So this would fall into these two would fall into the rare category of construction. So basically, the team only has access to second rank, which means that they can make composite and heavy constructs, but it would take them potentially 10 weeks to make one, 10 Bastion turns to make one, because their normal maximum capacity is 400, and these are 4,000. So the crew's going to have to start off with 20-foot mech that would normally. I think I'm going to allow them to build any material. I'm going to waive the costs, but in a normal campaign, the cost would be, what we just described. But I could allow the mecha hangar, or like the mecha workshop, the facility in the fortress that they have. Their hangar, they have a workshop, and they have a mecha hangar. The mecha hangar can repair mecha. The workshop can the workshop can develop new material systems for the mecha to use, and the mecha hangar can change what bonus equipment it has, like what kind of helmet it has, what kind of weapons it uses, what it can do with its spell battery. We'll look at spell batteries in a second. Let's go look at spell batteries. I don't need information about vessels because this is just mecha, so we can get rid of all of that. Why didn't it get rid of all of that? Yeah, sure, let's just do it this way, I guess. Let's get through this. What up, Alien? Where are you coming in from, man? While I'm sitting here pressing delete buttons, I have a hot second to listen to somebody. Power systems. This is the next thing that we're going to want to look at. We are at the uncommon level of rarity. Let's see. We have 4 ranks of powers that are in this system using the martial power system that we've been developing over the past 2 years. So we have exploits, we have maneuvers, we have reactions, we have strike powers, and which are like smites, and then we have sustained powers. So, and there's 4 ranks, and we get access to them at first, second, third, and fourth rank. First rank is effectively first level characters. Second rank is effectively 5th level characters, 9th level characters, 13th level characters, and then 5th rank would be 17th level characters. But none of the mecha, none of the powers that we have warrant 5th rank. So this go from 1 to 4. I did that intentionally so that characters can cap out stuff at 13th level. There you go. There are 5th level spells, but there's only 4 ranks of power. So kind of like inspired by the Eldritch Knight, but we're still using a half casting progression, so you get to the best stuff that martial stuff can do by level 13 instead of having to wait for the really big flashbang stuff until 17th. But we can overcharge with 5 mana instead of 4 mana once we get to the 17th level, so we can overclock our abilities. But this is a bunch of stuff that we can do for free. So we have different types of helms. So every time you have a power with a mod, so we have up to, I should probably put down mods. Mods. Max rank. Minimum per helm. Oh, this is the rarity. And the cost by rarity. And the number of mods. And the minimum rarity for the different types. Like a minor helm. Oh, we changed this. We were going to clean this up. Let's go to air navigation, comma, minor, spell, jamming, helm. Land navigation, waterborne ships, minor helm. We'll go to major, spell jamming, helm. Sure. Plane shifting. I'm good with that. Hardcore powers. The vehicle for cost requires 1 long rest per swap. Let's see, mods. So we get 2 at first level. We're starting at 2nd rank, so we're gonna have 3 mods. So we get our basic helm, which at this rank is going to be a minor spell jamming helm, which allows you to pilot vehicles up to 50 feet in size. Major spell jamming helms can pilot ships up to 500 feet in size. In a normal Spelljammer campaign, major helms can go farther, longer than the minor helms can, but in this campaign, we're not worrying about that. The helm is only indicating the size of the vessel that you can pilot. So you start off with your default helm. That doesn't count towards, that's just built into the ship. Then we have mods. So we can modify our helm. Land navigation, land nav, 100 gold pieces, 50-foot square max speed, land only. So these are the different types of helms. Land nav, minor helm. We're switching this to 400 gold. We're switching this to 4,000 gold. And we're switching this one to 40,000. 2 miles square, 1,000 miles square. Yeah, that's accurate. Let's see, list of powers. Okay, so when we have mods, let's see. Where were our modifications? We have our powers, but then we had other shit. Hold on. Where's our other shit? Magic items for your vehicles. Integrated. There you go. So these count. Each piece of power gear counts towards your mod limit. And then powers. Each power counts towards your mod limit. So at 3rd rank, at 2nd rank, where we're at 5th level, by the time we get to 9th level, we'll have 4. We start with 3. So I actually feel like I want to take the armor stuff and put it in front of the powers. Power gear. Yeah, let's do that. Almost there, guys. Stay on target. Power gear. Each piece of power gear counts towards your mod limit. Each power counts towards your mod limit. List of power mods. So, power gear, heavy armor plating. Let's get rid of vessels for now. We'll get rid of vessels. So these mecha only have the hit points is equal to their size times times 2. So a 20 by 20, it's a 20-foot mecha that occupies a 20-foot space. It basically has 40 hit points. It doesn't sound like a lot, and it's not. But you combine those 40 hit points with your character's hit points, and it has damage reduction. It has a little bit of damage reduction, but you can modify it so it has more. So you can have heavy armor plating, which will give you plus 5 damage reduction. So like your heavy plate has 10 already. You can add this mod, increase damage reduction. You can increase your armor class by 2. Choose this up to twice. Then we have thick builds, which doubles your hit points. So instead of having 40 hit points, we'd have 80 hit points. Or if we took it twice, we could bump it up to 120 hit points plus your own hit points as a pilot. But you wouldn't be able to do any other cool stuff. You can self-repair, which would be, per hour. So basically like per short rest. Per short. No, I don't like that. Let's go with per hour. We'll keep that. A short rest is an hour, but just kicking around is also an hour. Let's do, requires inactivity to repair. Integrated orrery allows for scan checks. We have a price tag. Okay, so let's go with each piece of power gear counts towards your mod limit, or let's just go with mod limit. Integrated tools is Tinker Tools can repair or manipulate machinery at we're operating at the 50-foot scale. So like if you're in a fire giant's castle and the fire giants are using 20-foot scale, we're in a mecha, we can have integrated tools that would allow us to like pick the lock of that fire giant sized door. And we have our power mods. Where is our helms? Cargo limit, new conditions, damage type, armor class, constructs, ship materials, resistance, affected gargantuan creatures. We had a stack of cool helms, and I don't know where the fuck they went. Where is it? Heavy plating, thick build, self-repair, integrated. List of power. Maybe it's after the power mods. Reactions. I want to go find them. Weapons. Weapon damage. Natural attacks. Sample machines. Machine shops. Combat and exploration. Land navigation. Shifting scales. Movement. I don't know where these went. That's so weird. All right, well, let's add them back in. Let's see. Power system, helms, power gear, magic for your assist. Each of these. Let's go with modified helms. Modified helms. Sealed helm. Can operate underwater or in fouled and deadly air. Retains fresh air in the helm. Thank you, Timely Timer. Retains fresh air in the helm. While retaining. Can operate underwater or in foul and deadly air while retaining fresh air in the helm for 1 day. For 24 hours. Then we got sealed helm. Let's see. No, that's good enough. Sealed helm. Yeah, let's just make that a flat mod. Maybe that's why. I thought I had a whole bunch of them. I guess I really didn't. Sealed helm, thick build. Self-repair. Thick build. We'll go with integrated tools, integrated orrery. Powers. Mecha powers. List of mecha powers. These are horrible names. We'll change them. HI. HI power gear, helms. Let's see. Let's see. Uncommon or greater rarity includes orrery station with attached to the helm. Orrery stations allow you to basically do a radar sweep to sense ships in the hundreds, thousands, or millions of miles of scale, you know, Spelljammer stuff. Helm for this campaign, it's going to be limited to attached to the helm. Maximum range, attached to the helm, up to greater rarity. Uncommon includes orrery station attached to the helm. The orrery can sense objects up to 10,000 miles away, which is a day's travel in the scale that we're using. So if we go to our map and we look again, here's the system map for Eberron. So here's the here is where Eberron is at. There's 12 moons that orbit Eberron. Here's their concentric circles. Each square is 10,000 miles. Eberron is 8,000 miles itself, so it comfortably sits inside of a 10,000 mile space. The furthest moon away from Eberron is 220,000 miles. So 22 squares away from Eberron is the outermost moon. The one, here, linked to Shavroth. I forget the name of it. I just call it Shavroth. There we go. And then, so each of these squares is 10,000 miles. So an orrery would be able to detect things within adjacent squares. So if we're doing hex crawls or Super Marioing around these clean air zone of asteroid belts, we can sense what's going to be in the next square. Like, is there a potential threat? There's something ahead of us. That's either objects or creatures or ships of some sort, but there's something in the next square ahead for us to explore. So we can hex crawl with a little bit of insight. So, excuse me, yawns. Whew. Let's see here. Let's stow that. And yeah, let's just leave that up for shits and giggles when we drip past here occasionally. Let's see. Well, hey, thanks a lot, folks, for hanging out and checking this stuff out. Like, subscribe, hit the bell icon for notifications when we're live in the future. The Spelljammer book that's published on the DMsGuild is here. It has a 100% free preview. The campaign workbook that we've been working on for the past 23 sessions is here. We're currently inside the Kaiju and Constructs work in progress document here. These are all read-only documents. Well, the Spelljammer book is on the DMsGuild, but the rest of these things are Google Docs that are read-only. So, cheers. Let's see. Yeah, I have that map. Let's go back to we have our helms, we have our power gear, integrated tools, sealed helm, self-repair, thick build, double your hit points up to twice. Then we have our mecha powers. Each mecha power counts towards your mod limits. Yeah. List of mecha powers. I don't know if this is the right amount of mods or not. We'll find out during playtesting if it feels good or if it feels shallow, and if we should change that somehow. So, list of mecha powers. There are exploits. Let's see. 5 types of powers. Exploits equal modify other actions. Oh, we have them listed down here. I don't have to do it again. Exploits, modify other actions. So bait and switch. When you're adjacent to an out, this is a lot of this stuff is stolen from Battlemaster and other subclass features that we just basically translated into something you could do. So bait and switch. When you're adjacent to an ally of equal or smaller size, as an object interaction, you can switch places with an ally, provided you spin at least 1 square of movement. The ally is willing and isn't incapacitated. And at the 50-foot scale, that would be the default is you can move 5 squares as a move, and then as a dash, and then like if a rogue has double dash, that's 5 squares. A barbarian that has fast movement that increases their speed by 10 feet, that would increase it by 100 feet, 2 squares. So that barbarian's mecha would move 7 squares per move instead of 5. But in the grand scheme of things, that scales up to 10,000 miles per 24 hours. If I'm not going to be sprinting and dashing and rolling for 24 hours, that's just in combat, which lasts less than a minute. So you can afford to have variable times over the course of a minute of combat around lasting 6 seconds. That's fine, because after that minute, you're scaling back out into basically exploration mode, where specific round activity is not nearly as relevant, or mapping isn't as important as normal 5e combat would be. So you can afford to have that inconsistency in like speed per round. You can violate it with class features and like haste and like like Zephyr Strike, Lawn Strider, Jump. These are all spells that you can amplify onto your mecha to bounce further faster. And where was, god damn it, why, I know we're missing stuff. We're going to go to Sealed Honor, Self-Repair. We're going to go to Spell Amplifier. Spell Amplifier. Allows amplified spells. Must use your own spell slots to amplify. Allow amplified spells by expending additional spell slots. See amplified spells. Amplified. See spellcasting below. See spellcasting below for more details. This thing's a hot mess so far, but that's how it starts. It starts as a bunch of ideas, and we eventually build it into a conversation inside the book. Allows amplified spells, and then we're going to go with let's go with mana amplifier. We'll go with mana battery. Let's do that instead. Mana battery. Let's double check our rules around amplified spellcasting. Amplified spells by extending additional spell slots. See spellcasting below for more details. Well, let's do that. Hold on. Allows amplified spells. Allows spells to be amplified to the 50-foot scale at no without expending additional spell slots. For self. That's it. Allow self-targeting spells to be amplified at no additional cost. I like that. because there's only one spell slot and you're using up one of your mods to get access to it, I'm fine with that. Hitting other things further away, you still need to worry about that. I'm fine with that. Yeah, if you need to hit something far away, it's going to cost you an extra spell slot to launch it up to 1,000 feet away. That's plenty of fucking feet. So you can spend that spell slot if you really want to amp it up like that. Mech powers. So like charge, when you move your vehicle as an action or object interaction, you can channel this power to prevent triggering opportunity attacks during your due to your movement. The first attack you make during or after this movement can roll with advantage. So that takes up a mod. You never have to pay like with mana or something. This is just something that happens. Grapple, when you make a pilot check to grapple or break free from a grapple, you gain expertise and roll with let's see. Yeah, you gain expertise is the wrong word. You gain you roll with advantage. It's not a pilot check. Oh, yeah, that's right. When making a pilot check to grapple or when you grapple, the language changes in 5e24. When you grapple with your mecha or attempt let's see. When you initiate a grapple in your mecha, the target rolls with saves with disadvantage. When you save to avoid or escape a grapple, roll with advantage. There, that's plenty. Keen awareness. You gain expertise when you make an ability check that can use the perception or investigation skills, or while using an orrery to make a scanning check. At second rank, this is where we're at right now, evade damage. When you succeed a dexterity saving throw to reduce damage, you take none or half if you fail. The rogue gets that for free with evasion. If you're not a rogue, you can pick it up for one of your mods. And again, at this level, we only get 3 mods. Phase attack. When you make an attack roll against a target with less than full cover, you can ignore the cover and not roll with disadvantage. 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't like that one. It should be okay. When you make an attack roll, when you make a melee attack roll against a target with less than full cover, I don't want to do it with range because in the Spelljammer system, if a target, like a creature smaller than 50, like 50 feet or smaller in size, if it has cover, it can't be targeted with siege weapons. So if we have an effect that lets you ignore cover and you're making an attack with siege weapons, you're basically hitting some dude, like you can just hit a random guy behind a rock for a trebuchet stone's worth of d8 times 10 damage. That cover rule to protect you from being targeted by siege weapons is there to prevent you from just splattering peasants with ballista fire all the time, unless they're out in the open without any cover. Anyway, there you go. But so I don't like phase attack. I want to change it, but I'm not sure. How about jump thrusts? Once per object enter once during a move action or movement using object interaction. How about once during your once during your turn, you can 2 squares of movement count as 6. Jump jets. Propelled jump. Swift tools. If the use of a tool would normally require an action, you can do so as an object interaction instead. We don't have access to 3rd and 4th rank, but we will eventually. First strike, when you roll initiative, if a target is within range of your melee weapon attack, make an attack roll against that target instead. The result of the roll is your initiative count in addition to dealing any damage if the attack succeeds. Hypertonistic. When you use a reaction against a target as an opportunity attack, you can make an additional attack against the provoking target as part of the opportunity. When you use a reaction against a target as an opportunity attack, you can make an additional attack against the same target. There. Unstoppable. Conditions other than destroyed that reduce your speed to 0 are ignored. Let's look at destroyed real quick. That should be down here. I guess it's up here. Control F. Destroyed. Destroyed. When your vehicle has been reduced to 0 hit points, it is destroyed. A destroyed vehicle cannot move or be piloted until it is repaired to half its total hit points. For example, a 50-foot machine with 100 hit points that has been destroyed can be piloted again when 50 or more hit points have been repaired. There you go. So unstoppable is conditions other than destroyed that reduce your movement to 0 are ignored. Maneuvers. Magic actions requires expends either a magic action or bonus action. So you twice. You can use twice during the same turn. Probably reduce the size of this. So maneuvers, first rank. I believe these all use bonus actions. When you can empower an ally, you can bonus action equals make an attack with a ship melee weapon with advantage. Targeted attack. Bonus action. Make an attack with a ship melee weapon with advantage. So I can use a bonus action equals when I make an attack with a ship melee weapon, I gain advantage. Coordinated attack as an action or bonus action. When you empower an ally that you can see or hear you to use a reaction to make an opportunity attack with advantage against a target that you can see or an ally that you can both see. Coordinated dash. You can empower an ally that you can see or hear you to use their reaction to move up to their movement speed without provoking opportunity attacks. Up to half. Goad, target that you can see, that can see or hear you, makes attacks against others with other than you disadvantage until the beginning of their next turn. There's it's just if you choose these things, again, a first rank mech can only have 2. A second rank mech we're at right now can only have 3 options. That might not be the best option, but a taunting tank is a good idea. Second rank, distract, target you can see, you can hear, cannot take reactions until the beginning of their next turn. Good to shut down wizard types, so we're working with mecha, so we'll see what that does. Ward, you gain resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage until the beginning of your next turn, which is an action or bonus action. You can do that. Vanish, you can become invisible until the beginning of your next turn. Double strike, make 2 weapon attack with advantage. You can draw a weapon as part of each attack. Phase, you become incorporeal until the beginning of your next turn. You can move through other creatures and objects as if they were difficult terrain. If you end your turn in a space occupied by another creature or object, you instead end your turn in the most recently unoccupied space that you moved through during your turn. You gain resistance to non-magical damage and any attack you make during phase. During phase deals force damage. Flicker Pounce, you can teleport to an unoccupied space that you can see within your move speed and make a melee attack against any target within reach. So you can do that as a bonus action. You can do it again as a magic action. So you can make 2 attacks. And then you can have double strike, make 2 weapons attack with advantage. Oh no, that could be like a bonus action. And you can draw weapons. Or like a rogue that only gets 1 attack. Double strike is really nice because they come with advantage. So you can get your rogue sneak attack in on your mecha, which still does normal sneak attack damage. Because mecha don't have shitloads of hit points. They just give you a bigger frame and more and a cushion. Now we're into reactions. Controlled crash. As a reaction to colliding, you can make a pilot check DC 15 to safely land instead taking no damage. Deflection, as a reaction to when a target you can see that is within reach of your melee attack hits with an attack roll, the attack is rerolled, taking the new result, which cannot crit. Downtrodding, as a reaction to when a target you can see within range of your weapon attack becomes prone or scuttled, you can make an opportunity attack against it. Interpose, as a reaction to when an ally within reach of your melee attack takes damage from a source you can see, you can take any portion of the damage and gain resistance to it. Within range of your melee weapon attack, that's what this should be. Melee weapon attack, within range of your melee attack, anticipate. As a reaction to when a target within reach of your weapon attack that you can see makes an attack against you, before they roll to hit, make an opportunity attack. Moving target, as a reaction to when a target you can see moves into or within the reach of your melee weapon, you can make an attack, even if the target is using a disengage action or the movement is forced. Granted, if you had Sentinel feats in your mecha, you could use Sentinel feat through your mecha, but if you don't have that feat available, you can pick it up as a modification. A lot of these are like feat adjacent stuff, which is designed to let you basically mod your mecha to make use of these pseudo feat abilities. Redirect, as a reaction to when a target within reach of your melee weapon that you can see hits another creature with an attack, you can redirect that attack to target another creature that you can see within reach of that attack using the same attack roll. Third rank Anchor, as a reaction to a target that you can see within 500 feet attempting to move, teleport, or shift planes, it must succeed a charisma saving throw, or it can't move, teleport, or shift planes until the beginning of your next turn. Basically pins them in place. Defense Barrier, as a reaction to a source you can see targeting you with an attack, you create a momentarily opaque barrier, granting you full cover against the attack, causing it to automatically miss unless it ignores full cover. The barrier disappears after the attack. So basically, this is just I can't take damage this instant, a reaction. Hexproof, as a reaction, that's 9th level. Hexproof, as a reaction to when a creature you can see targets you with a spell or magical effect. The creature must succeed a charisma saving throw at disadvantage, or you are unaffected by the spell, or the effect is wasted. There you go. Those strikes, which require bonus action. That you use after a successful weapon attack roll. Crippling Strike. When you hit a target with your attack as a bonus action, you cripple the target's movement. The target must use the dash action to move before the beginning of your next turn. Otherwise, its speed is 0. Disarming Strike. Knock things out of people's hands. Shocking Strike. When you hit as a bonus action, the target can't take opportunity attacks until the beginning of your next turn, which is like Taunt, like the Taunt ability up above, but this happens as a result of hitting them. You then trigger the bonus action as part of the hit. Thundering Strike, you can punt something 2 squares away from you. Axiom Strike at 2nd rank, it disrupts illusions and invisibility or concealment. Blinding Strikes, when you hit as a bonus action, it is blind. When you hit a target with your attack as a bonus action, it is blind until the beginning of your next turn. And that's 2nd rank, so you get advantage, and it has disadvantage. That's fair. Bursting Strike. When you hit a target with an attack as a bonus action, deal half damage to all adjacent targets of your choice. As a bonus action, deal half damage choice. Each can save against your pilot DC to take 0 damage instead. Delusional Strike. When you hit a target with your attack as a bonus action. Paralyzing Strike. Assassinating Strike. Delusional Strike. When you hit a target with your attack as a bonus action, the target must make an intelligence saving throw or is confused until the beginning of your next turn. Roll a d12 and compare the results to the table below. 1, 3, 4, 6, 7, 9, 10, 12. Creature drops anything held. Creature uses all its movement to move in a random direction. Creature makes a melee attack against a random creature within reach. Creature doesn't move or take actions this turn on a 10 through 12. Paralyzing Strike. When you hit a target with your attack as a bonus action, the target must make a Constitution saving throw or is paralyzed until the beginning of your next turn. Assassinating Strike at 13th level. When you deal damage with a weapon attack to a target that has yet to act in combat or is unaware of your attack, you can use your bonus action to deal maximum damage, including any additional damage dice such as sneak attack or a damaging spell. Sustained powers. These are ongoing effects that require. These are ongoing effects. Ongoing effects. Blind Sense. Ongoing effects don't. Ongoing effects. You create a defensive shield power that you can wield as a shield. That don't require an action to use unless stated otherwise. Period. Power Shield. As an object interaction, you create a defensive. There we go. As an object interaction, you create a defensive field of power that can be wielded as a shield that you are proficient with. This shield hovers in the space to protect you, leaving your hands free. The bonus to your armor class gained for the shield is +3. You can benefit from only one shield at a time. Rogue Stance. You can use a bonus action to dash, disengage, or dodge. Weapon Resistance. While sustaining this power, you gain resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage, which the barbarian gets for free, but anyone can have it. Grappling combat. While sustaining this power, when you hit a target with a melee weapon, you can choose to grapple it with that weapon as part of the attack. The grapple ends when you choose or attack another creature with the grappling weapon, or if you are incapacitated. The grapple target can attempt to end the grapple as normal. Elemental Resistance. When you channel this power, you gain one type of damage: acid, cold, fire, lightning, thunder. You gain resistance to the chosen type of damage and gain advantage on a saving throw to reduce the damage taken from the chosen damage type. You can channel this power more than once simultaneously, choosing a different type of damage with each. You can choose this. You can choose this mecha power more than once, simultaneously choosing a different damage type with each modification, with each choice. unnatural resistance. While sustaining this power, choose one of these damage types: Force, Necrotic, Psychic, Radiant. You gain resistance to the chosen type of damage and gain an advantage of saving throw to reduce the damage taken to the chosen damage type. You can choose this mecha power more than once simultaneously, choosing a different power, choosing a different type of channel with each choice. Flurry of attacks. While sustaining this power, you can use a bonus action to make 2 weapon attacks. That's 3rd rank. That's always on. Wait a second. We had double strike. Flurry of attacks. That's 3rd rank. While sustaining this power, you gain a bonus. You can use a bonus action to make 2 weapons attacking, including the bonus action used to channel flurry. Huh. I don't think we need that. We need to switch that out for something better. Celerity. While sustaining this power, you gain the following benefits. Your movement speed doubles. You gain +2 AC. You gain advantage with dexterity saves. You can use your bonus. You gain. You can use to make a single weapon attack, take the dash, or take the dash, dodge, and disengage action. I need to find another power. Frenzied attack, number 4. While sustaining this power, you gain 1 additional attack when you take the attack action and gain advantage on all attack rolls. 1 additional attack, super good. While sustaining this power, you gain 1 additional attack when you take the attack action. Let's pop open martial powers real quick. Let's go find another 3rd rank sustained power that we like. Because we've been pulling all of them from the martial power system, and we talk about the martial power system on Saturdays. So if you're interested in martial powers, kick down to my server that's linked down below, and check out the martial powers playlist. There's like 200 episodes. We've been at it for a long time. It's feeling pretty damn good. Celerity, Daunting Presence, Ghostwalker, Mind Sense, Windstrider. Let's see. Auto attunement doesn't really apply. In addition, when you make a melee attack against a chosen creature, you deal 1 additional power die of damage. This effect ends if the creature is killed or if you are incapacitated. I don't know about that. Hold on. Let's see. Let's see if we can find something cool. Skill, empowered, crouching stance, close quarter combat. I think God, extended reach feels pretty good. Let's see about that. Where are we at? Extended reach, 3rd rank, huh? What do we want to put in here? I'm not convinced yet. I'm not convinced I know. It's got to be significant enough to be worth it, but most of this doesn't really apply to like mecha in general. What is that? Hold on. Okay, Celerity, Daunting Presence. When sustaining this power attack against you, you can see roll with disadvantage. Okay, let's do that. Close this. Close that. Celerity. Distortion field. Attacks against you roll with disadvantage. If you are not stunned or attacks you can see. Unless you are incapacitated. There you go. That's simple. Yeah, I like that. Okay, cool. That's the stuff. Okay, weapon scales. Here's your different skills. 5, 10, 15, 20. So the cost is normal cost at the 5-foot scale. It's 4 times at 10. It's 9 times at 15, 16 at 20 feet, 36 at 30 feet, 64 at 40 feet, 100 times at 50 feet. And then we're going to keep scaling up, which is beyond the scope of the current project. Times 200, 400, 600, 800, times 1,000 at 500 feet. So for example, a long sword costs 15 gold at a 5-foot scale. Our mecha are 20-foot scale, so they would effectively be 240 gold. It would take, that's basically an uncommon level of rarity. So you'd have to have a second rank workshop to be able to make, or smithy to make these long swords in the first place, but they would then deal increased damage. Here's our KCE, 20-foot mecha. We're doing 3 dice of damage. Then at 30 and 40 feet, it's 4 dice of damage. And then at 50, it's 5 dice of damage. And then 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 dice of damage. And your basic hit points for the mecha, 5 foot is 10 feet, 20 feet. We have 40 feet at 20, we talked about earlier. At 50 feet, it's 100. And then we scale up to a 500-foot mecha, has 1,000 extra hit points on top of whatever else your crew contributes to keep the ship going. Weapon damage types: elemental attacks deal elemental damage, acid, cold, fire, lightning, thunder. Unnatural, radiant, necrotic, forest, poison, which doesn't work against constructs, and psychic, which doesn't work against constructs. Sample machines. We're going to start building some sample machines, but that's the general idea of it. And I don't think I actually want to build any sample mecha right now, but I think next week we might. Next week, yeah, let's build. I won't be here on Thursday. Normally I do game design like this on Thursday, but next week I'm going to be on Wally DM's channel playing some Super Atomic with AJ Pickett. I think Fred Willard. I'm not sure who else is going to tag in. There'll be a slew of us. But that's what we're going to be doing next week. And hey, it's 8:50. So I think I'm going to hit the brakes here. When we come back, so we won't be back until Monday to do this. We'll be doing Super Atomic. I'll post a link on my socials, so check that down below. But we'll do Super Atomic on Thursday. Saturday morning, we're going to work on 4th level spells for the Color Magic system, updated for 2024. And yeah, we do artwork Monday through Friday. We're doing Eberron adventure artwork right now. Once we finish that, we're going to start doing some Bob Ross fantasy and environment paintings. But I'm going to go ahead and cut stream now. This has been a lot of fun. We've updated our mechanics. Like I said, we're going to be updating the spellcasting amplification mechanics. I'm happy to see that. I like how Circle Magic handles spell amplification better than we had. I'm happy to have gotten razzed on Reddit about whether I was going about it was a good idea or not. I'm happy to change it because apparently just a couple months ago, Heroes of Faerun came out. I like how Circle Magic frames these things. I'm just gonna like I was just doing earlier. We're just gonna import that into our spell amplification system, and be better off for it. So all we want is a good product that works well. Honestly, spellcasting was the weakest component of it. I think once we update that, I'm going to feel very, very confident about how these things operate, because it's roughly parallel to. I mean, it's less expensive than, but we're dealing with combat at these larger scales. You're going to burn through your spell slots just dealing with other ships like normal. So I think the modifications that we made are reasonable, and considering that there's magical devices required to make it happen at all. Circle Magic you can just do on your own without having, just a couple of jerks in a park casting Circle Magic to destroy the world. Or you can use a spell amplifier through Spelljammer tech if you allow that in your campaign. So anyway, Bob's your uncle. That's it. I'm going to kick out of here. Man, thanks a lot for folks that have been hanging out and checking out the stream. I really appreciate people that come through. Like, subscribe, hit the bell icon for notifications when we're live in the future. And yeah, I'll see you guys then. Thanks so much. Laters.